at
6:07.
6:07 your time. And I'm going to turn the meeting over to Walter Cruzel so that it can be run in a proper fashion. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
All right. Donna Susek,
Here.
Walter Cruzel,
Here.
Gina Sakala, I think emailed earlier and said she couldn't make it. Bob Corsati,
He has a baseball tournament.
Marie Peisner.
Here.
Scott Ryder,
Here.
Tim Neville,
Here.
Doug Maxellen, Tina LeBlanc. Here. Jonathan LeBlanc. Charlotte Riley.
Here.
Bethany Olette.
Here.
Melissa Everett. Jaime Cisneros. Jeff Leonowitz.
Here.
And I believe Chris Cycli was on, maybe in his car.
I am here, yes.
And then I think I saw, is Tom at the end of the table? I think I saw him walk in.
I'm over to.
Okay, anybody else on with us virtually? I don't think so. I think that's it.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, May 13th, 2021. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Neville, seconded by Ms. Riley. I haven't voted yet. Go down. All in favor? I got Tina in favor. Scott, you in favor?
I will abstain.
Yes.
Oh, this is from the 21st of.
This is from May
Favor.
13th.
May 13th.
Okay, I'm in favor. Thank you.
All right, so everyone's in favor? Everyone's in favor.
Okay, thank you.
So now, minutes for May 27th, 2021, which we did not really have a meeting because we didn't have a quorum. We have to accept them anyway, or?
Do we have to approve them anyway? It was a minute.
We just need to approve that the meeting was
The
not
meeting was called to order and we did adjourn.
correct. That's what we have to approve. Thank you.
Motion by Bethany, seconded by Mr. Neville. All in favor? A few of us there.
Yes. Yes.
Yes by Tina. And the rest will abstain. Got that, Tina?
Yep.
Okay. Special guests, we have none. Old business. Mr. Cycli, would you like to take this, A, B, and C?
Sure. So, Barnard Phase 1, there's no change. I don't have a contact yet for the audit. Barnard Phase 2, I discovered, and I believe I copied you, Walter, and Donna
Yes, you did.
on the email from the state, right, where we actually received our payment up to the audit amount of $532,000 back in March of 21. It took a little bit of digging, but I was eventually able to uncover that. So,
That's because we keep reusing numbers, right, Chris?
I guess so. That's
That's
outside
not,
of
yeah,
my
it's not a
payment.
good business practice.
But I'm just happy that we actually did receive the money, so I can stop calling the people at the state and hounding them.
Right.
Um,
We maybe should look at inventing more numbers.
Right. So we're all set to go into the audit on Phase 2 and Phase 3. Now that all the invoices are paid and everything is done, I was looking to combine that acceptance with the Eli Whitney and Hazardville Board of Ed meetings. I'm still planning to do that so that once we get that approval, then I'll submit all that paperwork to the state to start the audit on Phase 3.
All right, so you want to continue with D and E?
Sure. So Eli Whitney in Hazardville, we are still going back and forth with the review with purchasing. I believe we are close. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, with getting submitted to legal for their review. I don't know. I would like to say we're maybe about a week or 2 weeks away from being completed with all of the town reviews. And once we're complete with that, we'll go into the state to get our approval to go to bid.
I don't want to commit to the actual weeks of completion, but yeah, I would say I had a phone call with purchasing today, and I'm going to be reaching out to Mr. Cycli, and I know D'Agostino, and kind of go over some quick things, and hopefully that's it, and you go soon.
Great.
So Chris, you still need a board vote for that after they're done?
Yes, I will. Once their reviews are complete, I'll schedule that. I'll let you know.
You need a vote from this committee also, correct?
I do, yes.
Okay. So if we need to call a special meeting or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I'll try and schedule it for the regular meeting. Because I don't need a special meeting to approve minutes or anything like that for this. It's just approve it at the meeting and then you sign the forms after it's been approved. But yeah, once we get to that point, then I'll let you know and we'll schedule it.
Keep me posted because our next regular meeting for Board of Ed isn't until July, but if we have to call a special one, I'll chase everybody out, call a special one.
Gotcha.
Our
Sure.
next regular meeting is not till July 13th. So.
The next regular Board of Ed meeting is July 13th? Okay.
Yeah, well, we have to cancel the 22nd, right, the graduation. So let me know, we'll figure something out.
Okay, will do.
All right, so
Right.
that,
Sorry, this is Scott. I had a quick question about Eli. So, Chris, do we think that this work won't get started this summer at Eli Whitney specifically? Because I was there today, and there's one wing where there's 5 or 6 buckets and the don't slip yellow cone. So many tiles missing. I'm worried about Whitney.
I'm not sure. And the reason I say that is because I know now, with everything going on in the world, there's a significant material shortage, specifically to the roofing insulation. So I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest, if this is going to be able to start this year or not. I think it will. I just don't know if it's going to start over the summer. This might, by the time we actually get out to bid and get a purchase order issued and get material ordered, this might just end up starting in September on Saturdays. But I really don't know yet.
That was one of the pitfalls we knew about going out to bid, but we need to, as a municipality, be able to do that, is my
Right.
understanding.
Hey, Chris, don't we kind of need to have a backup plan for when we're gonna do this? You can't do that job on Saturdays. It's winter time.
Say that again? I can't hear you, whoever that is talking.
It's Tim. You guys, you need a backup plan, because I don't know how you're gonna do this job, doing it on Saturdays, like in October, November, December. We ran into that problem the last time. And how long was?
It's not Chris. It's our staff review and getting everything such that we know how to do this in an expeditious fashion. And we don't. And we're working on it. It's not precisely, it's Town of Enfield and how we do things. And we need to learn new things so that we get the best price. That's.
Granted, I will say that the documents that we sent over were not 100% accurate. However, the review of these documents has been with a extremely fine-tooth comb. And by that I mean there's some comments that go as far as to change bullet numbering and sub-bullet numbering from letters to numbers and numbers to letters. The review process has definitely been a lot, but we're doing the best we can to respond to everything, and you know, just trying to work through it. So
Donna, it's Tim. Can I ask a question? Donna,
Sure.
okay, I'm not blaming anybody for this thing. I'm just concerned because of the issues with materials, the ability to get materials. And if we get to the point where we're starting in October on Saturdays, and whether we do it at nights or not, I don't know. But if the lead time of getting materials, which we should investigate soon, we've got to do something for a backup plan. In my mind, the schools are going to have a hard time dealing with this.
Tim, we can't have a backup plan. The backup plan is we do nothing and we wait for referendum. I mean, that's basically what it is. We either proceed how we're doing, because we're almost at the finish line, correct?
well, yes, with these two projects, yes, we're almost at the finish. Well,
Right, but I think that, the next one, we
Don't you
shouldn't be
mean, don't you mean
reinventing the
starting
wheel.
line?
yeah, we're almost at the starting line.
Yeah, we're not at the starting
not
line.
I'm talking about the review finish line,
Oh,
because this is our staff reviewing. It's going back and forth and back and forth. And when, things have to, I'm frustrated because when I hear you say, the bulleting had to be changed from this type of numbering system to another, it's like, I hope that the next time we do it, we use the same bulleting system and they don't ask us to change it back. Because sometimes I feel like we are trying so hard to get this done, and it's minutia that's in our way. It's just,
Yes, we will be using this format in the future. We will be using this format for Hazardville. Once we get through the Eli Whitney review, we're going to copy all of the comments over to Hazardville. And then hopefully that will be the end of the review process. And then, yes, we will have a bulletproof document moving forward.
yeah, I like the pun, bulletproof.
It will be bulletproof. It will be grammatically correct. It will be 100% spell checked.
Chris, it's Walter. The question that Tim is trying to ask is, if we get the materials in at the end of October, and we only have a chance to work on the schools during the weekends, what kind of weather? I mean, come November, it's going to get cold. What will the weather do to us? Will it delay the whole thing till next year, or do we have a plan to work around weather, or what? That's what the question was.
Well, depending on when we get the materials, we can consider second shift as an option to expedite and to alleviate doing this only on Saturdays and Sundays. But I don't know. I mean, other than that, yeah, once weather becomes a factor, once it gets too cold, you just can't do it. So there's no way to protect it. You can't really tent it. You could do it in sections. We can certainly start with the more concerning sections, the ones that Scott's referring to that are currently leaking like a strainer. But that's we could focus on those, but that's really it. Then once it gets cold, we've got to hope for a warmer day every so often for a little while.
Yeah, and I know we had a bad stretch of rain where it rained, really hard for 3 or 4 days in a row, but that was a couple of days removed from now, and now it's still leaking. Like, it looks like it's raining inside, and it hasn't rained outside for 2 or 3 days at this point. So I just wanted this group to know that, it's not great there. And I didn't realize how bad it was because we hadn't been in schools a lot lately. And I was down one of the wings today that I hadn't been down in a while. And I had to go around buckets and signs and towels on the floor. And I just didn't know if everybody here knew that.
Well, the alternative would have been that we not go out to bid and we use the state contract and we get less roofing. It's really what we felt would happen is we would get less roofing done. So I guess, if there was a plan B, maybe the ship already sailed.
And Sharon has got a question.
I mean,
Yeah, at this point, I would say we've got to continue with the public bid process where,
Right, we have to learn how to do it. I mean, this is something that a municipality needs to do.
crazy question. Can we pre-buy the materials now and then reimburse for it later? Like, can
The
we?
contractor buys the materials, I believe.
So there.
you can't pre-buy anything. Everything you buy has to go out to bid, so it doesn't matter. You're going to be getting it from the same people that are going to be bidding the work anyway.
Because there's great if you get the order at least out there by the time all this rigmarole got done. Good to go. And then you
Yeah, no, you as a municipality aren't able to go to the distributor, or the supply, the supply house to purchase it. You've got to go through a contractor. So there's no way. There's no way to do it because it would significantly exceed your $7,500 threshold to go direct to one person, and it wouldn't be reimbursed by the state. There's no way to pre-buy the material.
Bethany has a question.
My question is, how close are we to our threshold on the budget for Eli Whitney? And does our alternative planning of a second shift or weekends add to our costs so much that we run the risk of doing less roof anyway?
I don't know. That all depends on how busy
Is that
contractors are, what their staff availability is like, to be able to do second shift. In terms of the budget, I don't know. It could increase it. We do have a contingency built into both total project costs, but I don't know. I'm really not sure.
I have to honestly say, all these questions, Chris, I appreciate every one of them, but we have to understand that we are living in a time of huge inflation. And not only are our materials going to be at a higher premium, we are also going to pay a higher premium for workers. And if nobody realizes that, I mean, we could be in big trouble. And I don't want to be the doom and gloom here. I don't want people shooting darts at me. But, we started out putting a fence up this year at $25 a panel, and they are now up to $65 a panel. And we're talking a month and a half at Home Depot. And that's if you can get them. So, and this is countrywide. I have a girlfriend in South Carolina that can't get a roof done because they don't have roofing material. So I appreciate it, but I think we're playing a game of darts here. I want the roofs done. I want it to be started as quick as we can. But I think you have a twofold issue. You have supply and you have work. You have helpers. You have people to do it. So I'm not sure what the numbers are going to look like. And
So Marie, I can tell you that that we are subject to prevailing wage rates. So that the wage rates for the most part are locked in. Where we could pay a premium is a shift differential for second shift work. Or if we truly went, weekend overtime situation, right, then we could be paying a premium for the workforce. But for the most part, general labor hours are subject to the prevailing wage rate. So, and that's what the contractors that are going to be looking at this project are going to use for their rates. they're not going to escalate them because they're busy. They're going to use, because it's a competitive bid, they're going to use the prevailing wage rate as their lowest and most competitive labor rate to use.
Right. Yeah. And Chris, this isn't your fault at all, but to Marie's point, like, if we do have to do this on weekends or Saturdays or second shifts, that's to what you said, that's where they can change the numbers around, because we're never going to have the building empty Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like we will over the next 90 days. Then it's over,
Correct. I don't see that being a significant issue, but yes, it is a possibility. I don't want to rule it out, but I also don't see it as a significant issue.
Okay, I think we beat this one to death. Tina, I wanted to let you know that Melissa Everett walked in. Thank you. All right, so we're at letter F. Group referendum.
And those presentations, Jeff, when are you doing that presentation to the council?
I'm sorry, I believe we're going to.
I can't hear Jeff, but that's all right.
Next council meeting.
I believe the town manager is putting the 3 Rs on a big meeting on the 21st. I believe that was the intention.
Donna, did you hear us?
Yep, and that's my belief as well. And I have relayed that joint facilities, we have members that have approached me and said they would be willing to, because the town will have a booth on the green, I believe, for the, specifically for information on the referendum, all 3 Rs.
I
So,
will say I was at the town meeting, I was at the town council, we were at the area, and it kind of fit right into it. There was a group of young hockey families that were complaining about fields. And I was gonna go and talk about the referendum anyways, because I knew that it was gonna be on it. And I went up there and just said, we need to start educating the residents in this town that this is gonna be on the referendum, because September's gonna knock on the door. So we need, as members here, you don't have to say you're on joint facility, you just get up there and say, this is going to be out there. You need to get these 3 Rs passed. This is crucial. And it just kind of happened that these parents were there talking about fields. And I'm like, look, we've got these 3 cute little kids sitting behind us that, we want to make their schools safe. We want to make the road safe. We want recreation. So I think it is important that we start attending the meetings and voicing our opinion, because people need to know that it's coming up and they can't be surprised by it.
Okay. Letter G, energy performance contract.
Right. This is the last report. I received it, and pretty much we saved some money. You know what? I'd probably do. Watch this. This is new for me too. More actions. Wait, not yet. Let's try this.
The windows.
Hold on.
I don't know.
Hold on, we're sharing the screen.
Gonna try. I'm gonna really try.
Hit that right window. Click on that window. No. Somebody says 5 windows right there.
I don't know if I want to click on those 5 windows, because those shouldn't.
You don't know what they are?
I don't know what they are.
It's not those little 3 dots. More action. It's not there.
This is just, if I could, hold on.
I thought you had to open up thing on your desktop, then go back to the TV.
No, you should be able to share it. Here's the door, you have to open up.
It should be the arrow next to your microphone.
What is this? Transfer.
There should be an arrow next to the microphone at the top.
Yeah,
You're
it's
just finding the right window.
Yeah, we're,
He's afraid to click on that, then
I don't want to pick the wrong stuff. This is not.
you're gonna have to click on it, Jeff, I think it's gonna.
Oh, boy. Okay. I close everything. I just don't want like staff information. Yes. Like that. Okay, where'd everybody?
We got it. We got it.
Make it large. All right?
Okay, so everybody can see this was our last energy performance cost avoidance review. And everything, pretty much is the same. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I'm going to go right down to the meat and potatoes here. They got a nice overview, kind of summing up what we've saved. The areas in red are some of the missing values, and what this ties back to is some of the options that we did not leverage, whether we want a larger pump or some of the other issues, or a boiler was slightly designed different than what we were initially planning.
I just want to see the bottom line.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
And I can share this with you folks. I can, take a big read on it. But our cost avoidance for this past year was $865.16. And I think where I always kind of had a problem was like this operational cost avoidance. This has always been a fixed figure. It was based on like the equivalency to maintain the equipment as is. It's I like to kind of go just right on the, what did we actually save? If it isn't, pull up a driver. So it's still, regardless of this particular one fact, we look at energy in general, that it was 740,000, which is a decent year. And this does kind of take in comparison for mild winters and a lot of other stuff. So we did a good job, and everything, that's a substantial chunk of cash that the town was spending. So it's working.
Last year.
Yeah, we'll have the 3 years. I think they have a graph.
April,
April 20 to March of 21, and actually there should be a 3-year like histograph.
And then do you expect same kind of numbers maybe next year because things were shut for COVID?
So
I think the savings will be at.
I think it's going to be slightly equal, or potentially around the same, because it's going to be based on, we opened back up in May for staff, then we brought in the swim stuff, but then we brought in a whole bunch of ventilation. So it's gonna kind of mimic a lot, and then I know with the facilities consolidation, that's gonna change, but we're also looking at doing different things. So I think it's gonna be roughly the same aggregated, just depending on, I'm gonna steal Deputy Mayor's term, what bucket you want to put it in. But what we really want to drive down to is overall responsibility of operation, making sure we're only heating and cooling when we're there, making sure the levels are appropriate. And then if we see anomalies, what was an anomaly driver? Like the big anomaly driver for us is I'll blow the gas budget out of the water if we go through a real hard cold snap in February for the buildings, is because not that they're old, it's just we don't want a chance freezing and losing a school or freezing up a boiler when we get those long durations. But it just keeps us on our A game. But I look at the bills and bother everybody every month. I go through the bills and I look at the power bill and I go, why, where? And then I go, why is our water up? And then, if I can't find a reason, I go, maybe we need to hunt for a problem, whether maybe we have something leaking water in a closet we're not aware of and it's going right to drain or something. So I always try to look for it. So, we're trying to do it ourselves. I don't necessarily think that we need somebody to remind us, but a lot of the problems that they bring up later in the report, it's like the same spot, like the PD where we overrated everything. Well, those guys and gals are coming in full jackets in their armor and stuff. They're hot. It looks hot. I've never personally had the chance to wear it. I would imagine it probably doesn't breathe well, and I'm not gonna make them go into a warm room. I'll just, I'm sure they can deserve a little air conditioning, but there's just 24/7. And then we move data centers into rooms at work, So, and I don't want to overheat computers. So it kind of like, all right, well, I understand that analogy, but really it's just, it's up to us to be good stewards for the town citizens, make sure we're doing. And we've got a real good control on our automation. The automation is great. And we're putting better automation into JFK when they're done. So that's going to be completely automated like the high school. So I'll be able to just, do it from the phone, and it's going to be awesome. But it's just, I think this is just a good wrap on everything. It's proving that the energy program worked. And I think with that confidence, it puts a good point, because unfortunately, like it's the same, but I think this gives us a chance to maybe do like new things with energy and go, hey, we got a track record of paying dividends. So keep our fingers crossed, and all you can do is try, right? So that's my spin on that. I don't want to kill everybody on the same thing. So how do I stop sharing? Oh, okay.
Basically, you want Honeywell to get a system in play and debug it around how to monitor and manage this stuff. And it should be in-house from now on. There's no reason to depend on an external consultant.
Yeah, we keep spreadsheets of the bills and stuff.
So
And I've gone tracking of why we made overrides, so I can mentally back. And then if it's a seasonal issue, we go back and reset it. And then I wait. They usually come back, but I'll see how long it takes before the same person calls for the same thing. And I know it's an issue, but it's usually, something like planning capital, like relay out a zone. It's not a quick fix. So we'll wait to see how long before we get the call to come back in before we make the adjustment. It's just a fun little games for us, but it gives me an idea of what we need to tackle for infrastructure, where are some weak points. And a lot of it right now, what we're really finding is it comes into like big HVAC relocation and rezoning. So like it's all original piping. You can only do so much with controls and valves before. Now it's like time to like invest in redoing the distribution system, which is something that will probably be in capital I asked for. I'll just be, throwing that out there. But we're in a actually really good spot, with this automation system. And I'm also trying to get more automation. So it just helps out.
Your two biggest buildings, you're basically.
I want to automate the annex. That is a little project I'm working on, and it'll be well worth the investment. So.
Anyone else? Yeah, that question I asked you 2 weeks ago about the assistant dean in the high school.
Yep, we reached out. We've addressed some of the issues.
Okay.
Butch and Barker, well aware of it.
That's okay.
Walter, what did you ask about the high school?
It was one of the secretaries had an issue in her room that I let Jeff know 2 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't want to get into names.
That's fine. I just wasn't sure.
No problem. All right, so we move on to clean energy. All right, is that where we are? Yeah. Oh,
Clean energy.
Clean energy.
Yeah. We had talked about the fact that there are something like $30,000 kicking around our 15 pound budget from previous years, from dollars we have earned, our predecessor Clean Energy Committee earned. And I did look at the Sustainable DT matching grants, and there's up to another 15,000 for basically reasonable local needs, connect with energy and some other sustainability goals. But it's set up to be very accommodating, where they just say, if you have a proposed project, call us and we'll talk through how to make it fit. We want to see activities that are really useful for town. So I have been thinking about what would make sense for this. And I think that the 2014 Enfield Energy Strategy is like so 2014, and that as we are ripening and learning as, you know, a committee to think about energy, and as, you know, as renewables become mainstreamed and we involve the green bank, it really would be smart to consider a new Enfield energy strategy. And to, you know, build buy-in, plan it well, do it next year, lay groundwork to get some expert input and set priorities for what we can do with energy. Last meeting, I sent 3 slides to the non-quorum meeting, and I have them on this flash drive. If you can tolerate it, like I'm trying to like show that I'm a viable
Is
commission member.
that the slide you sent us?
Yes.
So
You got that?
you have that file from 2 weeks ago or no?
Oh,
All right, well, then, okay.
I would appreciate it.
It's a file called Enfield Energy.
I usually do this for you, I got to go at the desk, do this flawlessly.
You're good. You're good.
So, because for my time, we've been since 2013, and we have $15,000 and floating around. Is there an expiration date to that?
I don't, there was certainly none stated. And the history of that funding is that it was given from the Green Bank out of a program that had sunsetted. That was this incentive, complex incentive payment program. And basically, at the end, they were simply trying to get towns to commit to doing something so that they could get the money because the person who was stopping the program was going away. So it was received for use for any legitimate clean energy purpose. And, you know, out of a program that no longer. And they were,
So this 15,000 is sitting somewhere in our state,
Exactly.
and in our town
in our
budget.
town budget.
And it doesn't have an expiration date to get the matching funds, that's kind of.
Right, okay, so, okay. The grant that we received did not have any matching funds. It was simply an incentive payment
Okay,
that we earned through our Solarize campaign and our
Okay.
fixing zoning, all the things we did. Okay, and it wasn't spent because staff liaisons got busy and realized pouring over. So it was designated basically for any reasonable clean energy investment. You know, not so much infrastructure as, you know, not like big stuff. But just like we spent.
well, I mean, it's 15 grand,
Yeah.
it's a ton of money, that's money, and that's.
Right.
Think about what kind of an expiration date, yeah, no, there isn't.
No, so the second potential piece of money we have to be approved is from Sustainable CT. And it is a kind of capacity building fund that helps projects. What we have. So let me just, a few of you were around during the energy strategy period, but anybody? Not really. Okay, so it's a PowerPoint file, and it's Enfield New Energy Strategy from 2020. So, you know, way back, this was in the Derek Kennedy Assistant County Manager. We secured a grant and found some more money and engaged a company called Peregrine Energy.
Melissa,
Yes.
where you're standing, you're going in and out. I don't know about the other folks that are online.
Sound check, sound check, sound check.
That's much better.
Okay, good. All right. So what we did before was really look at the town, you know, electric and heating and cooling, vehicles and stuff. And identified that, you know, the biggest bang for the buck was the performance contract. The initial strategy gave rise to the performance contract, but it had a bunch of other recommendations about maximizing the use of renewables, you know, EV being where reasonable and charging and all kinds of other stuff. And, you know, we didn't really build political will to do much of that. But this stuff is becoming so much more mainstream, so much more cost effective. We've demonstrated, you know, we've got an interest, we've got stuff going, and other towns. You know, Coventry has 8 or 10 solar installations with the Green Bank. Fairfield has done 4 rounds of carport projects at their train stations and stuff. Things like microgrids becoming more cost effective than they ever were because you can layer in funding from different sources. You know, so I think it is useful to consider updating and, you know, basically updating the 2014 strategy, starting over but looking at the same set of issues. Engaging consulting if necessary, but working, you know, really using the talents of our staff. Not trying to be like incredibly thorough, but looking at just basically taking a look at what our energy picture is on the other side of this performance contract. Looking at opportunities for conservation, innovation, you know, security in extreme situations, and, you know, dollars circulating from the community. And leverage opportunities that are connected with things like the train station, the plan of conservation and development, which I think point to, yeah, so I think there are some synergies with more local renewables and storage and the rest. So, and, you know, money coming down from all kinds of sources. Next slide. This will be fast. So, you know, things that occur to me is more rooftop solar after the referendum, carports and canopies. And there, a Dutch BL students just did a statewide map of all of the potential sites for solar carports throughout Connecticut. Like it's kind of mind candy. It's just, you know, indicating that there's a lot more interest in this. Virtual net metering, which means supplying energy to the town or to local farms and getting, you know, substantial discounts through the state program. Looking at what can be done to enhance the train station as that comes in, fleet DPW. There's so much going on with high performance schools that are, you know, using renewable energy to improve indoor air quality. You know, I mean, we've done a lot of this stuff, but we can look at what the next generation of possibilities are. We have this, there's a financing program called CPACE, which is an easy way for businesses to finance renewables. Enfield subscribes to it, we just haven't pushed it. We could do more residential solar public engagement, but to me, the timely opportunity is to make a plan and look at the various opportunities and really sensibly prioritize. You know, and in the process, we get all of our heads around. Next. So, you know, part of it is updating on new and emerging technologies. What are options that we didn't know about in 2014? What's happening in other towns? You know, before the pandemic, we were just about to go out to Woodstock and Stafford and see what they've done, and we can still do that. And Coventry. Align goals and budget and priorities over the coming years. Look at, you know, what's low hanging fruit and what to plan for. And building community and business support. This stuff is like much more mainstream, and, you know, people recognize the value. And, you know, renewable installations can keep dollars circulating in the town. So I just think it's about engaging some technical expertise to structure it, but really trying to, you know, support the staff in answering questions and coming up with plans that are actionable, and using this funding to make it possible. You know, I think it's not about rushing, but it is about kind of looking forward and thinking it through and seeing if it could be a good project for next year. So that's what I've got.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I know we have a non-binding agreement with Green Bank right now. Will they come as part of this and like come to council and like educate us?
They will come and educate the council. They don't have to do, we don't need this study for them to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, they are responsible to do that and they are committed to doing it. The way, and I haven't gotten an update on where that is at after the site assessment, but they have this thing called Municipal Assistance Program. So all we need to say is, yo, Green Bank, we generated more questions, come to our council.
Because we definitely do,
Yeah.
a lot of councils have some questions, especially about like pertaining to solar on roofs. There's a lot of questions
Yeah.
that revolve
Yeah.
around that specific issue.
Yeah, but, I think it would be really wise for us to have a conversation, with the agenda, as time allows. And start capturing the questions. Some of them are directly about the Green Bank proposal. Some of them are just triggered by the Green Bank proposal, but they're just things that we all want to know. So I think maybe a conversation in here where we're sharing what we know and looking at the dimensions of, a possible energy planning process. And then also capturing the questions for Green Bank. And working through staff on that because that's kind of been delegated to you and Kasha, right?
Yeah.
Usually I'm the one who's yawning my brain.
I think that would be a helpful conversation to have, later, obviously, after we get past all the referendum stuff, but it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. Because I know a lot of us are interested in it, but I think we have a lot of questions on how to go about it and all that stuff.
Can you blurt out a couple of your questions? Give us an idea.
Okay, so like one particular question that comes to mind is if we, like with the whole roof installation, like what happens if the company who put the roof on just goes out of business? So then what happens with the installations on the roof? Who do they come and take them away? Or are we stuck with them and nobody can fix them? There's questions about,
And that usually there is a clause in a contract.
well, that's good to know. Yes, we didn't know that existed, There was a lot about maintenance and then feasibility of carports.
All of that stuff is, info we can gather around like best practices in a solar contract. We can talk to other towns about what they've, made sure to provide. And carports, there's a group of towns that have been doing it, monitor, like Fairfield has. They've done 3 different rounds and there's like 8 different carport projects. And a lot of the kind of counterpart committees, we can basically call them and say, hi, would you put, beam into a meeting and answer some questions? Because I have a good network.
I'm thinking, there's stuff in the bigger scale, like, could you have these green things around town that would not only cover the municipality, but could feed into reducing, overall town? Stuff like that.
I think if folks are interested, that, obviously this is carefully staged to make, to protect the bandwidth of all the other things that we need to handle, but that we could do some basic education for the committee and then formulate, the agenda for the planning process after we're a little more knowledgeable. Is that okay?
Any questions out there?
No,
Walter, can you repeat that?
Is there any questions out there about the green energy?
I'm all set.
Oh, clean energy
Plan.
plan that you saw on the screen.
Proposed strategy for 2022 to be teed up with some internal education.
So we'll keep that in old business and just keep bringing it up. Transfer station update.
We are in the review process and, we're going to be getting that ready to go to the streets. So we are in the part now where we're going through our, much like the roof we discussed before, working with, purchasing, legal, the contractors. So, before you know it, that thing is going to be a legal notice and we can all celebrate. When I see that, official thing come through and you see it in the paper, that's always my favorite part when I get the bill from Harvard Current. That means this has gotten real. Because it's out and everybody's happy, so.
Does the legal notice for what? Got the bid?
Yes, so, right now we're in the process with with finance, and once that gets approved, we're gonna be going in, because that, finance takes the initial approach with the insurance adjusters. They go through all the snafus that they could interpret in the contract. Then after they okay and give it like the first blessing, we'll go to legal after that. Legal will check all the stuff, make sure there's not a missing point. There's usually a couple quick comments. They get adjusted, and then it goes to Director of Finance, Mr. Wilcox, so it checks off, and then we can go. Once he signs off on it, we're ready to post it legally. And once we can put a legal notice on it, we'll put it on the website for the state. We'll do a hard recurrent run. And then that job is going to definitely require prevailing wages. So usually once we're in legal review, because legal review is kind of quick, that's when like Donald and myself will usually go grab prevailing wages, because the DOL has like a 10-day window from your application to the issuance. So we usually know that when we're in legal, it's like a 5 to 7 day turnover. Traditionally legal, they're pretty quick. And that kind of runs almost hip and hip with the Department of Labor. So we have fresh rates, put them on, post it, and we do our two weeks out. And I'm excited for that one to get going. I'm really excited. So I'm hoping, much like somebody else, that we see some of that stuff for the end of this year too.
Okay, letter J, master list of buildings that needed maintenance. I know Jonathan was doing this.
Does Jonathan have anything to report on that?
Jonathan's not here.
Okay, well, I gave him everything, and I have not heard anything back yet as far as questions, so I think ball's in their court.
Letter K, Mr. Reiner, North Facilities Communications.
To what Donna was talking about earlier, that there might be some folks working on literature for referendums and such. As things are created, just copy me on them via email or whatever. We can post about them. Right now, we're just posting about when our next meetings are, or we're forwarding messages from the town manager related to buildings, things that are appropriate for our group. So we're still doing that on a weekly basis.
Yep. Scott, that's a good point. When we do the presentations on the 21st, the webpage the Facebook page be a great place to put them.
Okay, brings us to new business, meeting attendance. Donna, you put this on the agenda. So.
I did put that on the agenda. Actually, I could have called in last meeting, but I think we're coming out of COVID. We're trying to figure out how we're doing things, but we have members that really have not been coming to meetings at all. And I guess we need to ask these people, do they still want to be part of this committee, or do they want to step aside for a little while and let somebody else, start to carry the baton? So I want feedback from this committee with the people who are here. How do they feel about this?
Yeah.
Donna, just so you know, I do keep a spreadsheet of attendance, so I can forward it to you, and you just know what's who's who.
Right. Well, this particular committee does have an attendance requirement. And, people knew that when they signed up for it. And last time when we didn't have a quorum, it just seemed kind of, maybe this is the time now to discuss it instead of just keep, dancing around it. I know we're going to go to once a month once we can get the roofs, underway. But, until we do that, I think we have to, support everybody and meet twice a month. So in case they have things that need to go forward. So I'm looking for feedback from this committee.
Well, Jim, I remember when we put that thing into the vectors to get this new committee up and have people at all. It's a huge issue for us. I think we have to address it. I mean, I think there's people I've never seen here.
Donna, why don't you let me sit down, we'll go over the spreadsheet, we'll just start making, reach out to members, say, okay, what do you want to do?
I'm having a little bit of difficulty hearing what everybody's saying. I'm sorry.
Donna, I said, why don't the two of us get together, I'll show you my spreadsheet, and we can fix the date.
Okay.
Discuss it further,
All right.
when you get back to town. All right,
Okay.
comments?
The energy subcommittee was more kind of rolled out of the energy. I think that there was never a formal expansion of the number of seats on this committee. So I blended into discovery that I'm not a voting member. And I've been happy to like hang out. And I think some of you are aware of this, but I think it would be kind of expedient. Okay, well, Donna, so if this is the procedural blunder in any way. Yeah, no.
So, Donna, that's another thing we could talk about.
Yeah.
Offline. And,
What's that?
My finding myself.
Everybody's breaking up.
Sorry, it's your favorite issue. So if we could figure out, how.
I'll bring it up with them.
Yeah, just work out the subcommittee role.
Any other comments? Next meeting's on June 24th, 2021, same place, same station. Same time.
Okay.
Are we still going to do the combination team in this?
And we may have to for a little while.
I think that's,
Right.
one
It's
more.
everybody's.
That's fine.
Anything else from the committee?
Nope.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Noble, seconded by Marie. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Got eyes out there. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes.
Bye, thank you.
Hey, Ron.